Recording.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Martini Chat. Oh my gosh, I know we're running late. We're like, a little late, but we've had a few technical problems here. But oh my gosh, I'm so excited because I have a wonderful, wonderful guest today. And her name is Renee Balcolm, and she has a company called Renee and Company, and I can't wait for her to talk to us about it. She is a healthcare advocate, but she does so many things. I mean, Renee, talk about wearing a lot of hats. Oh my gosh, you do wear them, my dear. And I have to tell you something real clear. My favorite aunt in the whole world, I'm from Kansas. My favorite aunt in the whole world her last name was Balcolm.
Oh, maybe we're
So
related.
I've never heard that. So you and I have an instant connection.
Yeah, very cool.
Okay, so tell us, I mean, I have so many questions for you, but explain to us what your company is and what you do, if you could.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to meet you in person, right, in this new
Right.
virtual world, but it's so nice to be able to have this, even if we're still muddying through the technology. It's just a wonderful experience, right? So I appreciate it so much.
Mhm.
Oh boy. Of course, technology continues to go on. I'm trying to wear these earbuds because I understand sound is better, but they fall out of my ears all the time. So
I know it.
again,
They do mine too.
forgive me. Yeah, I don't know who has such big ear cavities, but they tend to want to fall out of mine. But anyway, so as you mentioned, I'm a professional healthcare advocate, and most people do not know what that means. They're like, what the heck is that, right? Um, I had a client that referred to me as her hired gun. And so, our mission, what I do, is I assist people in navigating through the healthcare system and the social services benefit system. So, Medicare, Medi-Cal, our Medicaid, the various, Social Security system, and all the various systems. But the primary work that I do is I lead a team. I have 3 healthcare advocates that work for me, and we really work one-on-one, attending medical appointments with our clients and working with them to be heard by their medical team. And as you know, we've all had this experience where we go to the doctor and we, wait and wait and wait. We finally get in the back room and we have the wonderful medical assistant that's taking our blood pressure and asking us what we're here for again. And then the doctor comes in and literally, Jean, you have 11 minutes with that doctor. So on average, it's 11 minutes. And most of us go through, once we've kind of gone through some of the social niceties, hi, how are you? Da, 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 we end up leaving that appointment with the doctor kind of frustrated because number one, we feel like we're heard, or we didn't have a chance to really put our concerns in the room, or maybe we were a little apprehensive in that. And there's truly a malady called white coat syndrome, which most of us have. And white coat syndrome is that once we see the doctor, like we could have a whole list of things that are wrong with us, but once we see the doctor, we're a little apprehensive in sharing those, right? We're trying to figure out in our mind, how should I prioritize this, right?
Mhm.
So healthcare advocacy, or having a professional healthcare advocate, is very, very beneficial for people that just feel they're not being heard by the medical environment, especially if you've been diagnosed with a severe like cancer, or you have a complicated treatment plan that they want to present to you. I highly recommend that you would bring in a healthcare advocate to help in that process. Our brain automatically goes into fight or flight when we're getting bad news or what we think is bad news. And so most brains are not able to take in all the information that they're giving us if we think we're getting a severe diagnosis. So that's another reason to make certain you have another set of eyes or ears. And you don't always have to have a professional healthcare advocate. Just make certain you have another person with you that can take in the information.
Right. Well, now, do they have healthcare professionals all over the country, or do you? Because I'm from a small town in Kansas, and of course, when my mother went into a nursing home, and this was quite a few years ago, we had nobody to depend on. We had nobody that and they would not release her from the hospital until we had a place. And of course, there weren't that many places close, but it was a nightmare. It was so horrible. And you're right. I mean, we had no help at all. It was just frightening.
Right.
She was frightened. We were frightened. There was not that extra person, to, kind of hold our hand and, walk through it. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Now, you are out in California, right?
Right.
Do
But
you work
I'll
with
tell
people
you,
all over?
I do. And I'll tell you what you just described is the very catalyst that brought me into healthcare advocacy. I actually started, and I'm from Missouri, so I'm from the
Oh,
Midwest, and
yeah,
I
you
ended up
are.
taking the journey to California in my
Yeah.
20s, and I ended up in Silicon Valley at a time when anyone would want to have been in Silicon Valley, right? And started as a customer service rep, and in 10 years, I was a CEO of a tech company. So and I did that for another 10 years. And then actually about 14 years. And then when my kids were of a certain age, 8 and 9, I decided I wanted to go back to kind of a small town environment to raise my kids, get them out of the city. I was on an airplane 2 weeks a month traveling. My company had several locations and I traveled all over the world. And I just really needed to settle down and, raise my kids, right? So we ended up choosing a small community in Southwest Oregon, and we moved to Southwest Oregon. I bought a company there, and we moved there the Friday before 9/11.
Oh, dear.
Well, a couple of things happened, right? That Tuesday, 9/11 happened. By the following Friday, I found out that the company that I purchased was a scam and that I had
Oh,
written a fat check for my life savings and was in a scam,
oh,
had gotten caught up in some kind of scam. And then I had to make some decisions, right? It was like, do I pack everything up and go back to, to California, or do I stay focused and raise my kids? So I decided I had always kind of been able to compartmentalize, and I decided this was the time to raise my kids, right? So
mhm.
then I had to go get a job. It's like, well, you better figure something out. So I got a job in marketing at an adult care facility, assisted living, elder care facility.
Yeah.
And they fired me, by the way, I got fired. But in the time that I was there, I could really see these big gaps in how families were being influenced, you know, and influenced in crisis over one of the biggest and most important decisions they would ever make for themselves or their loved one. And I just really realized, gosh, this is a problem. It just really opened my eyes to a whole different industry and to the problems in that industry.
And this
And
was how long
so
ago, Renee? How long ago?
this was about 16 years ago.
Okay.
And so I just started with one client at a time, just helping people
Mhm.
navigate the system in Southwest Oregon. I was in Brookings Harbor, Oregon, in Curry County, Oregon. So we were right on the ocean, beautiful, beautiful place, but very limited. We only had 28,000 people in our county, so we had limited resources, and people just were not getting the care or the supports that they needed. So, again, I'd been a CEO for a long time. And one of the things about, cutting your teeth in Silicon Valley back in the day when I was there was anything was possible. There was nothing that was impossible. So here I was starting over again in a different industry, and we didn't even have a public health or mental health department. So I was a founding director for our mental health department in Curry County, right? And I just started building these building blocks of care for our community. In 5 years, I had 39 employees serving 5 counties in Southwest Oregon.
Wow.
And
Okay.
we were serving a lot of people of a lot of different ages and a lot of different problems. So
But so you you can serve anybody, no matter where they are. You can
correct.
help them because you
Yeah.
have all the resources.
Mhm.
So it doesn't matter where they live.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I
I'm
think
not bound
there's
by state lines.
okay, I think there's a lot of people out there, including myself, that just didn't even know that there was such a thing. Maybe I'm naive, but
Hmm.
I always think, if I don't know it, like there's a lot of others that don't know it too. But so
Mhm.
that is just very important. Now, I want to ask you this because I was reading your website and you said that because I'm so curious about this. You said that you did a podcast
Mhm.
and it was on live long and stay productive at any age. I would love to know
Right.
a little bit more about what you said about that.
Right. Well, one of the things that I discovered in working with the aging population was that there were all of these narratives that we we were hearing what it's like, getting old, right? And again, I was raised by my grandmother in the Midwest, and my grandmother quit working at 55, and she sat on her couch pretty much until she was 85 and died. Well,
Mhm.
that's just not the vision I have for
No.
myself. And I've met so many people that were so vibrant and so much energy that I really started this campaign, if you will, a mantra of changing that point, that perspective, changing that point of view. None live that way, right? And there's this old mantra about old people and what old people should be doing. And I got to tell you something, Gene. I've met some people of age that had a lot more going on than some 30-year-olds that I know. So,
I know.
and they're active and have busy calendars and they're living a great life. And I really just felt passionate about learning more about that. How do we age well? How do we age our very best selves? How do we actually bring our best selves forward? And I have to tell you, I heard something wonderful this morning. I love, love, love this. This was a woman that breaks down our aging in fours, right? 1 to 25, 0 to 25 is all learning. We're gleaning and learning and gleaning and learning. 26 to 50, we're investing, right? We're building our lives and investing in our families and investing in our career. Um, um, 51 through 75, we're starting to pull away from that investing, and in our 70s and older, we're really hitting our stride, and we're able to really live our legacy, right?
Hmm.
I just
Okay,
that
I'm losing you.
exactly the way she
Okay.
said it, and I would write it down. But I felt like, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you were breaking up. Go ahead.
Can Okay. Anyway, I felt like it was so true.
Hmm.
We as baby boomers or whatever you want to call us, we have to change that old narrative
Yep.
and start really making certain that we're heard, that our voices are heard. We're still the largest and wealthiest group of individuals on the planet. Our
Hmm.
money needs to speak to that. I mean, I don't know about you, but I watch television and all the commercials are about old people being sick and taking these drugs. There's not a
Yeah,
lot about the vitality of the aging community.
right.
And I know you jump out of airplanes. I mean, my goodness,
Yeah, I do. Well,
that's amazing to me. Right?
and yeah, and I just always say, somebody will say to me, well, you don't look like you're 82. And I'm like, well, what is 82 supposed to look like? I mean, who knows what
Yeah,
it's supposed to look like? I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
it's like I am who I am and I'm 82 and I'm like, I don't know, but you're right. We have to change that paradigm of what that older person, looks like, thinks, all those
Right.
things. I
I'm
mean,
65, and most people are pretty surprised at my age.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
they have an expectation of what 65 should look like, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
this is what
Well,
it
I have to
looks
tell you,
like.
I had lunch with a young woman yesterday that was like 55. All my people that follow me, they laugh at me because I call them young, all you young people. I call 50 and 60-year-olds young. And
Mhm.
I'm like, well, you are compared to 82, you're young. You can be my
Yeah.
daughter's. My daughter's 54. But I had lunch with her yesterday. She's 54. And I swear to you, she looked like she's 35. These young women, 50-year-olds, they look like they're 35 years old. They look so much
Hmm.
younger. And
Hmm.
it's just, it's like all up here. They got to get it up
Yeah.
here too, so,
Yeah, for
but
sure, for
yeah,
sure.
but I'm sorry but I wanted to ask you that because I'm so intrigued. I was so intrigued by that. And I thought, well, that is really I'd really like to,
Mm.
kind of hear what you had to say about that. Well, the whole healthcare thing is so important. And oh my gosh, to have someone like you that we could, depend on and to help us through it,
Mhm.
and to, the whole caregiving. And just real quick, because we're kind of running out of time, but what is
Mm.
this I saw on your website, Enlightened Aging Academy? What is that?
So I teach a class at Sac State. I'm in Sacramento. I teach a class at Sac State for the 55 and over community, the alumni there, and I bring in um, experts from the aging, the complete aging spectrum. So elder law attorneys, fiduciaries, all of the people that are in the continuum of care for the aging population. So frankly, we can learn. One of the things, as I got more and more acquainted in the senior population and the resources, I realized, like, first of all, here was the question that came to me. Why, what's the sincerity behind the reason these people are doing this, right? How do we vet them and know we've got the right fiduciary? Remember, last year or the year before, a major motion picture
Okay, you're breaking up again. Renee, you're breaking up.
Oh, can you
Okay,
hear me now?
now. Okay, do it now. Talk now.
Anyway, remember that major motion picture a few years ago that came out, I Care for You, and the fiduciary locked the woman up and was taking her house and her money and all that. Do you remember that?
I don't remember it.
Yeah.
But
Well, there's a lot of bad actors in the care industry. So I started vetting the people that I work with and bringing them into a class, teaching people about what they should look for with regard to some of these providers. I'm in the process of developing an app that will allow you to go into the app and access vetted care providers in your marketplace, in your zip code, that I would recommend that would be part of my program. So the question that I asked all the time is, how do I learn what you know? How can I take care of my mom, right? And so I went back full circle, went back to technology, and I'm working with a tech program to develop an app it's called Scroll.care. It should be available in beta in limited uh, accessibility by the end of this year, and I'd love for you to have one and test it, where you can actually tap resources right in your marketplace to help you answer any care questions, and
oh
that
my
they're fully
gosh,
vetted.
that's wonderful, Renee.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really,
That
really
is
excited about it.
that is wonderful. So you're going to keep us abreast of that. You're going to we'll stay connected so we know when that comes out.
For sure.
Because
For
that
sure.
is great.
Right. And then I have a speaking platform that is called See Differently, and it's really about educating people before they're in crisis to help them make decisions about your mom and
Yeah,
how difficult that was.
very
And
difficult.
anything I can do to help you through video or educational pieces to learn the nuances of how to kind of scrutinize that, I want to make available to the marketplace. So those are
Yeah.
the projects that I'm working on.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. Well, you are an absolute, I mean, I am just so, I want to kneel down to you.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, you are just so, that's so wonderful because you're helping so many people. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, I love that. Well, I really appreciate you. And I think we should, talk to you again. And just we really want to know about that app because that'll be
Yeah.
very, very important. So
I
I
appreciate
thank
you.
you. I'm sorry we had so many difficulties today, but that's life, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
But listen, thank you so much. And I appreciate you. And I really, really look forward to getting more acquainted.
I
Thank
do
you
too.
again.
Yeah, I do too. It's just, I think it's so great for me at this later stage in my life to be able to make new friends. And I'm really making a lot of new friends. And I think that's wonderful for all of us. It's just like,
Yeah.
you just got to stay open. So All right.
Yeah, well, it's my pleasure.
Kisses.
Thank you so much.
And
You
yeah,
too. Take care. You take
okay,
care.
you too.
Okay.
And thank
All
you
right.
for being on, Renee. And thank you so much for understanding all this
No, no problem.
stuff.
No problem.
Okay.
No
All
problem.
right.
See you soon. Bye bye
Okay.
now.
Bye.